Hello viewers, welcome to Senior College Mathematics. In this series of teachings, we have college/foundational statistics and we want to consider data presentation. Lesson 9, pie chart. A pie chart is a circle divided into sectors whose angles are proportional to the frequencies of the items. The angles are measured in order to obtain the frequency. Below is a typical structure of a pie chart. How a pie chart looks like. You have the typical structure of a pie chart. The circle is divided into various sectors. What you have actually is frequencies. The frequencies are converted to degrees so that they can be measured in the circle. Each sector, each section is called a sector. The whole pie chart has an angle of 360 degrees at the center. The angle at the center of each sector is a fraction of 360 degrees. Each angle that you are going to consider is always a fraction of the total angles in the circle. Steps in constructing a pie chart. Step 1, draw a circle. Step 2, from the center of the circle, draw a radius, vertical or horizontal line to any part of the circle. A radius is that line that runs from the center of the circle to any part of the circumference. So it can be vertical or horizontal, provided that it must start from the center of the circle to any other part. Step 3, use a protractor to measure each angle, to measure each of the angles. Let us see how we put all of these into practice. Examples. We are going to consider how to construct a pie chart and how to use a pie chart to answer given questions. Example 28. A class of 30 students participated in a game competition in their school. 4 of the students played Scrabble. 6 of the students played Ludo. 15 of the students played volleyball. And 5 students played computer game. Represent this information on a pie chart. Solution. First, you need to find the angle at the center of each sector. Now, those that played Scrabble is one sector. Ludo is another sector, and so on. So we need to convert the 4 students that played Scrabble to degree so that it can be measured on the circle. Before that, you must get the total number of students involved in the competition, and they are 30. Total number of students who participated in the competition are 30. The first sector is Scrabble, and that is 4/30. You have 30 students for played Scrabble. So sector for Scrabble is 4 over 30. To convert this to degree, you multiply it by 360 degrees total angles in the circle. You do the same thing for the rest sectors. With this explanation, let us now calculate angle of each of the sectors properly. So Scrabble, you have 4 over 30 times 360 degrees. That simplifies to 48 degrees. Ludo, you have 6 students over total students 30 times total angles in a circle. That simplifies to 72 degrees. You have volleyball, 15 students over total students times 360 degrees. That simplifies to 180 degrees. Computer game, you have 5 students over total students times 360 degrees. That simplifies to 60 degrees. One thing you should note, which is always true, is that the sum of all the sectorial angles must be 360 degrees. What that means is that if you add 48 to 72 to 180 to 60 degrees, you must have 360 degrees. Now let us find out. Already here is 180. Now if you add 48 to 72, 8 plus 2 is 10. Put down 0, you carry 1. 4 plus 7 is 11, plus the 1 you carry 12. So if you add 48 and 72, you have 120, plus 60, you have 180, plus 180, 360 degrees. Secondly, draw a pie chart by following the steps outlined above. Step 1, draw the circle, mark the center, and draw an appropriate radius. So this is the center of the circle. From this center, you draw any line to the circumference. Remember, it can be horizontal or vertical. This is the first step in drawing a pie chart. Step 2, with the aid of protractor, measure the respective angles starting with Scrabble, that is 48 degrees. What you do is that you place your protractor on this line so that that opening in the protractor or the center will fall on the center of the circle. The line on the protractor will be directly on this line, and that line is 0. From that 0, you count 48 degrees. It will be somewhere here. You draw from this point to the center of the circle. So that is the sector for Scrabble. The next one is to measure and draw the sector for Ludo. That is 72 degrees. Now your protractor won't be here again. You adjust it so that that line that falls on the radius will not be where the Scrabble end. Here you have 0 here initially, so that 0 position is shifted to the end of Scrabble so that you can measure 72 degrees to this point. So you always adjust the protractor to the next line as 0, then you count from that point. The next sector is volleyball, and that is 180 degrees. Now the protractor, that 0 position, you take it from here to this point where the sector for Ludo ended. Then you count, so here is 0 now. You count from 0 until you have 180 somewhere here. This becomes the sector for volleyball. If you are very correct, the remaining part will be for the last sector, that is computer game. So here should be 60 degrees if you are very correct with your measurement. So you have the last sector, computer game, that is 60 degrees. So after drawing this sector, the remaining part, if you measure it, and if all other measurements were very correct, this last sector should be 60 degrees. So this is how a pie chart is constructed. Example 29. The pie chart below illustrates the amount of various goods sold by ABC Superstore. If the total sales were 3,480,000, find the sales amount for food, drinks, clothes, and toys. You have the sectorial angle for each item. With this, you can get the sales amount for the items listed. Solution. Remember, I told you that each sector is a fraction of the angle at the center, that is 360 degrees. This fraction multiplied by the total sales amount will give each sales amount for each product. So you take sales amount for food, sectorial angle for food 190 degrees over total angles times total sales amount. You have this sales amount for food. For drinks, sectorial angle for drinks over total angles times total sales amount. You have this sales amount for drinks. For clothes, sectorial angle for clothes over total angles in a circle times total sales amount. That gives 580,000 naira sales amount for clothes. For toys, sectorial angle for toy over total angles in a circle times total sales amount. That simplifies to 464,000 naira sales amount for toys. Note, when you add the sales for each item, you must have the total sales amount of 3,480,000 naira. Example 30. In an election, people voted for party S, Y, or Z. The pie chart shows how the people voted. Party Z, you have a sectorial angle. Party S, 20 degrees sectorial angle. Party Y, 135 degrees sectorial angle. A part of the question, calculate A, the sectorial angle for party Z. B, what fraction of the voters voted for party Y? Give the fraction in its lowest form. C, part of the question, if 1.26 million people voted for party S? How many voted for party Y, party Z? D part of the question, what was the total number of people that voted for the three parties? Solution. A part of the question, to get the sectorial angle for party Z, which is A, you simply add all the sectorial angles and you equate it to the total angles in the circle. That is A plus 135 degrees plus 20 degrees equal to 360 degrees. That simplifies to this. When you add these two angles, you have this one. Next thing is to collect like terms. So A is equal to 360 degrees minus 155 degrees, and you have 205 degrees. B part of the question, the fraction of voters that voted for party Y. Sectorial angle for party Y is 135 degrees over total angles 360 degrees. You keep on reducing by using common factor to divide, and you have 3/8 in lowest form. C part of the question. This part is somehow technical. First, you need to get the total voters before you can find those that voted for party Y and Z. Since those that voted for party S is known, you use this information to obtain total voters. Now listen, assuming you are asked to find the number of voters for party S. When you know the total voters, you can use the formula below. Party S voters, you obtain it using sectorial angle for party S over total angles times total voters. When you do this in relation to party S, what you will have is party S voters. But now you have party S voters but need total voters. The same expression can help us to get total voters if you make it the subject. From the question, 1.26 million voters, which is equivalent to 1,260,000 voted for party S. So let us insert these figures into the formula and you have this result. So we need total voters. Let's make it the subject and solve for it. You make total voters the subject of the formula. When you multiply the numerator, you have it in this form. Multiply through by 360 to clear fraction, you have it in this form. Divide both sides by 20 to have total voters standing alone. Divide both sides by 20 in this form. That will give total voters standing alone. And when you simplify this part, you have 22,680 voters. You can now proceed to answer question C properly. Question C is to find those that voted for party Y and Z. Before that, total voters are needed, and we have obtained that using the information about party S voters. See Roman figure 1. Those that voted for party Y would be sectorial angle for party Y over total angles in the circle times total voters. You see the reason why we must get the total voters first. You insert all the information in the given expression. When you simplify, you have 8,505,000 voters voted for party Y. Those that voted for party Z would be sectorial angle for party Z over total angles in the circle times total voters. You have these results. When you simplify, you have this, and you have 12,915 voters voted for party Z. The part of the question is to find total number of voters or total number of people that voted for the three parties. In part C of the question, we have already done that, and we have 22,680 people or voters voted for the three parties. Example 31. Food items were bought by a woman from the market as represented in the pie chart at a cost of 240 naira. What is the cost of soya beans? You have the given pie chart with various food items and their sectorial angles. We are interested in soya beans with sectorial angle of 120 degrees. Now, cost of soya beans is equal to fraction of soya beans times total amount spent. That fraction is simply sectorial angle over total angles times total amount spent. That is 120 degrees over 360 degrees times 240. That simplifies to this. You have this, and finally you have the cost of 80 naira. Example 32. From the diagram below, what percentage of the chart is education? Solution. Education sector is 144 degrees. Therefore, percentage of education is fraction for education times 100%. That fraction is simply sectorial angle for education, 144 degrees over total angles, 360 degrees times 100%. That simplifies to this, and you have 40%. Example 33. The pie chart above shows the games some students like best. A part of the question: what is the value of the angle that represents hockey in the chart? You can see hockey, you need the sectorial angle. B. If 20 students like hockey best, how many students like athletics best? Let us see the solution. Solution. A part of the question: hockey's sector is not given directly, since the total angles in the pie chart is 360 degrees. Hockey sector can then be easily determined. You add all the sectorial angles for each sector, including hockey's sector, and you equate it to 360 degrees. You simplify, you get this result. You have to transfer this term to the right hand side to make hockey sector to stand alone, and you have 60 degrees. Be part of the question. Total number of students is not given directly, and without it we cannot know those that like athletics, since those that like hockey are given. That number can be used to find and know those that like athletics best. Now, fraction of those that like hockey times total number of students is equal to those that like hockey. From this expression, we want to get total number of students. The required fraction is simply sectorial angle for hockey over total angles in the circle. We are denoting total number of students by S equal to those that like hockey. When you multiply the numerator first, you have this result. Next is to cross multiply so that we can make S the subject, total number of students. If you cross multiply, you have this expression. Divide both sides by 60, you have this result, and that will make S to stand alone, total number of students. When you simplify, you have 120 students. With these total students, you can get those that like athletics best by using this simple expression: fraction of those that like athletics times total number of students gives those that like athletics best. The required fraction is simply sectorial angle for athletics over total angles times total students. This expression simplified to this and this, and finally you have 30 students that like athletics best. Example 34. The pie chart shows the distribution of marks scored by 200 pupils in a test. Use it to answer the questions below. A part of it: how many pupils scored? Roman figure 1, between 41 and 50 marks. Roman figure 2, above 60 marks. B part of the question: what fraction of the pupils scored at most 50 marks? C part of the question: what is the modal mark? Solution: before anything, we need to find the number of pupils according to each sector. You can do that by first you get the total angles in the pie chart, that is 360 degrees, and you continue with that because you know the total pupils. So the angle in each sector over total angles times 200 will give us the number of pupils in each sector. Solution: you have the marks under the various interval or range and the various sectorial angles. To get number of pupils in this range, you divide the sectorial angle over 360 times total pupils 200, and that is 30. If you do that for the rest intervals, you have the various pupils. When you add up, you have 200 pupils. So let's get Roman figure 1 of A. Pupils that scored between 41 and 50. That is this interval, they are 50. Roman figure 2. Pupils that scored above 60 marks. Above 60 marks. That is this interval to this interval. That is simply 30 plus 20 plus 10, and that is 60 students. Be part of the question. You are asked to find the fraction of pupils that scored at most 50 marks. At most 50 marks means 50 and below. That is this region below, and they are 50 pupils plus 30 pupils, and that is 80. So the required fraction is 80 over total pupils 200. That simplifies to 2 over 5. B part, we should find the C part. C part, let's go back to that question and know what we are asked to do. Question C, we are asked to get the modal mark. The modal mark can only be obtained in the interval, and that is the highest number here. So from here, number of pupils become the frequency, and the highest number there is 60. Is 60. That is the interval with more pupils. What I'm saying now, interval with more. Remember, mode is the item that occur most frequently. So in this interval, you have 60 pupils. This becomes the mode. So the modal mark is between 51 to 60. End of lesson 9. Thanks for watching and learning. Don't forget, watch out for more from the voice of Pittacus. Lastly, if you are not saved, your life is in crisis. To avoid that, you just have to give your life to the Lord Jesus Christ and confess him as your Lord and personal Savior every day of your life. If you are saved already, congratulations. Live righteously and be prepared, because on the last day, some will be taken and some will be left. Take good care of yourself. Stay out of trouble. Study your books. Do the needful at all times. Flee every appearance of evil. Don't defraud others to make money. Use your hands and your brain to work genuinely and legally, and the Lord will bless you. Goodbye and stay tuned.